Hi, my name is Lisa Martin. We recently had elections in the United States, and there was a lot of talk about the national debt. I thought I'd go online and take a look for myself. At usdebtclock.org, I was astonished to see that our total national debt is now over $66.8 trillion and rising every second. No wonder it was the subject of debate during the elections. I was really disappointed with our elected officials that they had not made more positive decisions to being more fiscally responsible. I, however, have an idea that it can help to bring national spending back into more reasonable limits. I propose that we abolish the Federal Department of Education. Now, before we let emotion run away with us, I think it's important to remember that the Federal Department of Education did not exist until 1979. Prior to that, states handled education with limited oversight from the federal government. I feel there are three reasons that the Federal Department of Education needs to be abolished. First, it's a colossal waste of money. Second, it isn't effective. And third, it is unconstitutional. So how did the Federal Department of Education get started? President Jimmy Carter in 1979, along with educational lobbyists to whom he owed favors for helping him get elected, decided that education in the nation needed to be changed. They decided that that change needed to happen through the federal government. The Federal Department of Education was created along with a seat in the presidential cabinet for the Secretary of Education. The bureaucracy was created and the spending began. According to whitehouse.gov, the budget for the Federal Department of Education is now over $14 billion every year. The annual budget rises every year and the spending does not seem to stop. With $14 billion being spent every year, some might think, wow, the students in the U.S. are pretty lucky. They must have an excellent education system. Well, this brings me to our second point, which is that the Federal Department of Education is ineffective. With $14 billion being put through the Federal Department of Education, it would be easy to assume that we have the best educational system in the world. And that was true once. Prior to the creation of the Federal Department of Education, America was number one on the list of 40 countries. Now, after 36 years of federal control, America is 14th on a list of 40 countries, according to International Educational Data Mining.org. Now, we can debate the different reasons that the Federal Department of Education came about, or the reasons it's been bloated into a huge bureaucracy. However, the data is conclusive. The Federal Department of Education is ineffective and a waste of money. Finally, the Federal Department of Education is unconstitutional. Nowhere in the Constitution of the United States of America does it give the federal government the right to control federal funds or to dictate curriculum to the country. In the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, it reads, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or the people." The federal government does not have the right to control education in the United States. This overreach of power has infringed upon state rights and limited individual freedom. The Federal Department of Education is fiscally irresponsible. It is ineffective, unconstitutional, and needs to be abolished. The obvious argument to this proposal would be you can't just abolish an entire federal department. Who's going to oversee education and ensure quality education for the rising generation? Well, the Constitution has solved this problem for us. The states have the right to handle education within their borders. The current system does not allow for innovation. Currently, the federal government holds educational funds ransom to be paid only to the school districts that comply to their will and that teach curriculum according to the dictates of the Federal Department of Education. Now, if we choose to do nothing and continue to use the current system, the Federal Department of Education will grow in size and power. They will continue to waste billions and billions of dollars every year with only negative effects to the students of the United States. Every individual has been given agency by their creator. And in the U.S., we are given the opportunity to exercise our agency when we vote for political leaders. I urge you to seek out and support political leaders that have the will and the ability to make decisions to shrink or abolish federal departments that can be handled on a state level, like the Federal Department of Education. In the Federalist Papers, James Madison states, "It is reason alone of the public that ought to maintain and regulate the government." Let's vote for political leaders that will put education back in local control. Let's use the system that worked. Let's use the system that made America #1. Imagine what will happen when free market philosophies are once again applied by our educational system. Innovation is what Americans do best. When all 50 states once again have the freedom to apply educational principles within their states, there will be 50 different ideas being implemented in order to raise education in the United States of America. When one state succeeds, the other states can learn from them and use the best practices from every state in order to raise the quality of education in the United States of America collectively. Where there is freedom, there is innovation. And where there is innovation, there is competition. Where there is competition, there is excellence. The United States of America can be #1 in education around the world again. I urge you to seek out and support political leaders that are willing to do what is necessary to make the laws that can shrink and abolish federal departments that can be handled on state levels. Thank you for your time.